Hello my friends and welcome to the Electric Viking. Elon Musk has just claimed within the last 24 hours that Ford and auto worker union, the auto workers union that pays the Democratic Party millions of dollars every 2 years for their campaigning, actually wrote the new electric car incentive bill. And I suspect he may be right. Now, Electric has reported on Tesla CEO Elon Musk commenting on the new federal electric car incentive reform proposed by the Democrats, which includes a big benefit for unions. The benefit is a lot bigger than I initially realized because the benefit will give an additional $4,500 US, not in tax incentives, but in the form of a point of sale payment to the buyer if the vehicle is made in a union factory. Now, those union factories are union factories not just in America, but it also applies to union factories that are not in America, specifically union factories made by Ford in Mexico. So, I'm not sure how this new bill really benefits Americans. Essentially, America is giving money to Mexico or to Mexican workers or to Ford to incentivize them to continue to make vehicles in Mexico. Bit of a strange decision in my opinion. Anyway, Musk has alleged that Ford and the United Auto Workers Union wrote the new piece of legislation that has just come out within the last couple of days. Now, as I talked about in a previous video that's just come out, the Democrats showed the latest version of their planned reform of the federal EV incentive, which they're going to push through as part, well, they hope to push through as part of a $3.5 trillion social spending bill. Now, if you didn't already know this, since January of this year, when the Democrats came to power, they planned on pushing through a change to the EV incentive bill. The reason being, well, one of the reasons being the fact that Tesla and General Motors, really the only two companies making EVs en masse in the United States. Ford makes the Mach-E in Mexico, like I said, don't get the federal tax incentive because they've already gone over the threshold of 200,000 sales. So what's happening right now is the American government is giving you money to buy vehicles made in Thailand or China or Europe or wherever they're built. But basically, the American government is incentivizing brands from countries outside of America, pretty much only, right? Crazy. So there's been several changes compared to the previously proposed reforms from the Biden administration, which it's a bit of a mess now. This is a new version, so try to ignore those old versions. This is a new one, just came out within the last 24 hours. Now, one of those is a $4,500 US additional benefit to electric vehicles coming out of factories where the workers are part of a union. And like I said, that includes American companies making vehicles not in America. Now, obviously, this puts different automakers that produce vehicles without union workers at a pretty big disadvantage. $4,500 US is a lot of money, obviously. And of course, it gives a big advantage to local American manufacturers, of course, except for Tesla, which are not unionized. Now, Tesla and its workers, not just Tesla specifically, but also its workers, have resisted efforts from the UAW to unionize the Fremont factory where Tesla produces all its vehicles for the United States market. And on Twitter, Elon just said he believes that Ford and the UAW lobbyists are the ones who actually wrote this bill. Quote, "This is written by Ford UAW lobbyists as they make their electric car in Mexico. Not obvious how this serves American taxpayers." I love his brevity in saying this. And it seems as though, well, I think he's got a good point. He may be right. The Democrats have admitted that they are intentionally doing this to favor the United Auto Workers Union because the union pays them money. Every 2 years, they give them approximately or around about $5 million US to go towards their political campaigning. And so this is the way that the Democrats can scratch their back while having their back scratched as well. Unfortunately, this is often the way things seem to work in the United States. Now, obviously, there's no proof behind these allegations, so they may or may not be true. But the fact that the Democrats have openly admitted on camera to intentionally biasing this process to benefit the union seems to indicate that if we follow the money, well, maybe Ford and the UAW did in fact write this legislation. There's one reason why I'm a little bit skeptical that Ford and the UAW did in fact write it. Well, the UAW has openly admitted that they are against electric vehicles. In fact, the unions in Europe have also voted against giving incentives for the purchase of electric vehicles. The reason for this is they believe it will eliminate 30% of jobs in their countries. So this is a common situation. Unions around the world are against EVs, against market disruption because they're afraid of losing jobs. With good reason. They will almost certainly lose jobs. Obviously, making a different product, a better product, is going to lead to innovation and, of course, streamlining things. Of course, remember, where are batteries largely manufactured? Well, largely they're manufactured in China and also to some degree in South Korea, but mostly in China. So therefore, the most expensive part of the vehicle globally is coming from China. And of course, this means that in addition to the fact that an electric vehicle has thousands of less moving parts in it than an ICE vehicle, that many jobs will be gone. For example, exhaust manufacturers. What's going to happen to them? Well, there won't be any exhausts anymore, so their companies will either cease to exist or they'll have to innovate. Innovation is scary and difficult. So unions encourage you to vote for them in order for them to protect your job so that you don't have to try and innovate. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against unions. Unions can be good and they can be bad. Remember, there are pros and cons to unions everywhere. Now, about Tesla not being unionized. Well, here's a quote from Elon Musk on May the 21st in 2018. There is nothing stopping the Tesla team at our car plant from voting union. They could do so tomorrow if they wanted. But why pay union dues and give up stock options for nothing? Our safety record is 2 times better than when the plant was UAW and everybody gets healthcare. It seems to me with unions in the United States, well specifically the UAW, that the problem isn't necessarily with unions in general, but the UAW in particular. They've been corrupt for many years. Now hopefully things are better now, but unions in the EU seem to have a better record than those in the United States. Here's a quote. The US Attorney's Office in Detroit said that the United Auto Workers Union has agreed to independent oversight to resolve a 5-year federal corruption investigation that ensnared 2 former UAW presidents. The presidents have been found guilty for corruption. The union has had a problem with fraud, embezzlement, and corruption, Schneider told a press conference. There are a few bad apples and those people have been convicted. Now, we don't know how many bad apples there really are. That's part of the problem, isn't it? The US Attorney's Office revealed for the first time that the UAW has already paid back over $15 million for improperly billing Ford Motor Company and Fiat Chrysler Automobiles for employing members who did not work at the training centers operated by the union and the companies. Schneider's office has charged 15 former UAW officials as part of its investigation, and former presidents Gary Jones and Dennis Williams have both pleaded guilty to embezzling union funds. Now, there's been similar things happen here in Australia. The UAW failed to address the fraud, the corruption, and the illegality problem within its own ranks and necessitates injunctive relief to protect the honest membership of the organisation. The government said in its complaint filed Monday that must be approved by a federal judge. Several UAW officers, including 2 former presidents, have pleaded guilty to embezzling millions of dollars for their personal benefit, using the funds to purchase expensive liquor and cigars, to pay for golfing outings and related equipment, traveling, and to stay at expensive hotels. Now, the government has said that for over a decade, UAW officials engaged in fraudulent, corrupt, and illegal conduct for their own benefit. Now, unfortunately, this is not a new phenomenon for the UAW since it's been going on there since the very beginning. A lot of people believe it's not a few bad apples, it is endemic from the roots of the institution. So the problem I have here is, are a corrupt organization writing America's laws on EV incentives? And why are they writing those laws? What is in it for them? Well, obviously $4,500 is in it for them. Plus, what else? Well, we don't know yet, but maybe there are other things. Now, remember, Musk pointed out that Ford will particularly benefit from the change to the reform that gives a 5-year grace period for electric vehicles that are produced outside of the United States to still get the $7,500 EV incentive. Ford obviously invested heavily in the production of its Mustang Mach-E, its first next-generation electric vehicle, in a factory in Mexico. Now, in addition to Elon, Honda and Toyota have both said they're against these EV incentives, but they don't have any EV production in the United States. So they're against them because they don't like EVs and they haven't committed to them fully. So sucks for you, Honda and Toyota, but you deserve what you get. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pro having rules to incentivize EVs. One of the reasons why? Well, we've just seen recent studies showing that globally pollution removes 2 years off the average lifespan worldwide, meaning 17 billion years of life are removed because of pollution. And it's much worse in countries where the pollution is worse. In India, some parts of India, lifespans are reduced by 6 years from pollution. Same thing in Africa. Now, would you personally want your children to live a longer life if they can, a healthier life? In fire stations, they're spending all kinds of money to stop pollution from diesel vehicles. They're diesel fire trucks, which is causing cancer and is causing significant life reductions in the livelihoods of firemen. We know this from data and research from decades, right? So we know that we're literally drinking in poison that is killing us. So even if you are skeptical about the benefits to global warming or all those sorts of other issues in terms of, in fact, of just having a better car, having a better planet, even if you're skeptical about those things, well, that's another good reason to incentivize EVs and to disincentivize purchasing machines that are going to pollute your air. Now, the disappointing thing about this new reforms from the Democrats is the fact that, well, it seems like a good thing that they're doing, but they're using the legislation to push a political agenda that has got nothing to do with EVs or renewable energy or clean air. Now, don't write in the comments, yeah, Viking, you're against unions, I'm going to unsubscribe, because I'm not. I'm not against unions. There's nothing wrong with the need to do so to protect themselves, to get fair and reasonable rights in the workplace. But like Elon said, the workers at Tesla can vote to have a union, and if they do so, then they would become part of the UAW. But really, honestly, I think the workers there don't really see a good enough benefit to join what is a corrupt organization, and that is the key issue. Now, personally, I'm absolutely stoked that this bill will accelerate EV adoption, especially in a country like America, where they are way behind China and Europe in this area, and it's going to cause them enormous long-term financial pain when they get disrupted. In addition to that, EVs are just so much better than ICE vehicles, so that is a good thing. But it seems to me as though the DNC, the Democrats, are more focused on bailing out the UAW and legacy automakers, including Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler, than on fighting actual pollution. In my view, the additional $4,500 for union-made vehicles, even if they're not made in the United States, is simply ridiculous. Thanks for watching the video. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye-bye.